Today I'm going to be breaking down how you can use the Fireball in combination with Meteor Golems here at Townhall 18 to 3-star any base. So here is the strategy that we are going to be using today, and of course Townhall 18 has dropped, which with it brings a whole load of brand new strategies. In specific, we have the Meteor Golems, that brand new troop, which is going to combine with the classic Fireball from the Grand Warden. So let's jump in and we'll break this down. So the first thing we're going to be doing with this particular strategy is of course identifying a section of the base that we are going to be able to get good value for. Now in most bases, in fact in all bases pretty much, you're going to have something called compartments. These are sections of the base with walls around them. For example, in this bottom compartment you can see we have the monolith and a couple of other buildings in there. We typically want to try and take out one compartment that has some pretty heavy defenses in it. So for us, we're going to be identifying the one with the flame spitter, should I say, the poison spell tower, the multi-target inferno, and we may also be able to catch the monolith next to it on the left. Typically, we're trying to go for compartments with heavy damage based buildings. So of course the poison spell tower is a bit of a pain to deal with, especially coming in with smash attacks where most of your troops are going to be combined together and you have healers doing work. So that's exactly what we're going to be identifying. Of course, Grand Warden walk starting off the exact same as always, looking to try and take down some of these outer buildings, funnel his way in to the correct location. Once we have got there, you're going to see something you may not have seen before, and that is using that spell right there to freeze up our own Grand Warden. We can then use that fireball alongside the earthquake spells to take down the buildings we want. Now we're freezing up our Grand Warden because we don't want him to progress too much further into where he may potentially be damaged. We want him to hold his position, we want to guarantee we're taking down the value we're looking for, and then we can get going with the rest of our attack. We don't want our Grand Warden to get out in front, take too much damage, and end up having to go down. Ice Golem, of course, as always, going to be going out in front, just taking some of that initial damage off our troops, freezing up some of those heavier buildings as we progress. The balloons in there, of course, testing for any seeking air mines. Those can always be a bit of a problem to deal with, so I would be careful. Now, if you cast your eyes over to that left-hand side, just next to the fire splitter, you'll see is where we deploy our first totem. Now the totems of course have kind of taken the game by storm. Everyone's super excited by their brand new mechanics, and honestly they are incredibly powerful. The only time you may start to see, you might start to struggle against them is if you misplace them. So when you're coming in with a smash attack, or indeed anything that you don't want the splash damage defenses like scatter shots to shoot down on your troops, you're going to want to place them off to the side. You don't want to place them directly where your troops are going to be walking, because the splash damage buildings like the flame spitters, the ricochet cannons, the scatter shots, whatever is going to be doing splash damage will hit the totem, but it will also hit your troops. So you want to make sure it's going off to the side, so it's those defenses that you may potentially be trying to avoid taking damage from won't inevitably hit your troops. For the actual main push itself, the Meteor Golems kind of do their own thing. You just deploy them down with the rest of your attack. You'll see we did create a bit of a funnel over towards this left hand side with the Barbarian King and Royal Champion in combination, but for the rest of our troops we're just going to be pushing them right up the core of the base. The Meteor Golems honestly are a great troop because they can hop over walls. We don't really have to use too many things to wall break through, so our spells can be more directed to helping supporting our troops with rage spells, free spells, the totems of course as well. And you'll see just how much overkill we have here on the back end. Swag and a freeze spell, plenty of troops left in there. No need to worry about walls, as I said, because those Meteor Golems, they're just hopping right over the top of them. But this one, finishing off a 3-star and a great way to kick off this video. So as always, I will remind you guys, the link for the strategy is down in the description if you would like to give it a go. But we have 2 more examples so you guys can master this strategy. So progressing through into that second attack, again we're going to be looking to try and get as much value as we can from our Grand Warden. We definitely don't want to push him directly in towards the Town Hall here, because remember, the Town Hall itself doesn't really fight back anymore. You of course may have to worry about the Guardians, who are potentially going to cause you some issues, but that is a fight you can have later on in the attack. For us here, we're going to be going straight in with that fireball, because we're going to be able to get enough value on the outside of the base here. That compartment was really juicy. As you can see, it's the symmetrical on that left hand side. We have the Super Wizard Tower, the brand new Super Wizard Tower, which is pretty lethal. Definitely nice to take that down with the Scatter Shot, Poison Spell Tower, Expo. There was lots in there that could have potentially caused us issues. So when you've got such a juicy compartment, so easily accessible on the outside of the base, you're just going to go ahead and take it down. It also means we're going to be able to save some of those spells for later on in the attack, which is always really nice. We didn't need to use as many invisibility spells to make buildings invisible, because the value we were looking for was pretty much right on the outside of the base. Now, one thing I haven't spoken about is the siege machine of choice, and it's going to be the log launcher. Now, I did speak about the fact that the majority of our troops can jump over walls. However, we do of course have the Queen in there who cannot jump walls, and we'd bring a Super Yeti, I believe, in the log launcher itself. So opening up some of these initial compartments is definitely going to benefit us. Of course, the log launcher, unless the Town Hall is centralised, won't really always get you all the way there, but as long as you can open up maybe 1-2 compartments, you should be sitting pretty comfortable. But this attack was exceptionally quick. I cannot believe how fast this attack was, and you guys will see it's going to be another 3-star on the board. So the totem spells themselves, remember what I was saying about the splash damage, try to keep them away from your main army. You want them off to the side, but close enough that they're still going to lure out those buildings you're potentially worried about. And of course, there you guys can see it. We're going to be finishing off with that 3-star. We have the furnace on the outside of the base as well. I didn't even realise we had a furnace in this army, but I guess it's to help create that funnel. We'll definitely keep an eye out for it in that last attack. But Yappy Boy, once again, going to be bringing in the goods and that 3-star. If you guys are looking for more Town Hall 18 strategy guides, I have lots more planned for release in December. So make sure you stay tuned for them. Let's jump in and take a look at that final example. So moving through into that third and last example, there is a couple of compartments we could potentially look at. We of course have the 2 symmetrical scatter shot compartments over on the right and left hand side. We also have the double Super Wizard Tower compartments down in the bottom section, but that one right in the centre with the monolith, the double spell tower, the 2 inferno towers, the new revenge tower. There's so much in that compartment that it's too juicy to not try and take it down. Now remember, we have 4 invisibility spells to try and support our Grand Warden. Now I'm seeing where this furnace is coming in. I think in that last attack we actually just forgot to deploy it down, but we're going to be using it here in combination with the Grand Warden walk at the start, just to take down some of these outside buildings that little bit quicker, so we can progress with our Grand Warden walk, because we don't want to be waiting all day on him trying to do his job. We want to make sure it's done nice and quickly so we can get going with the main portion. Now if we freeze things up at the exact right time right here, you guys will see this is why we bring 4 invisibility spells, because if we didn't, he would just go probably fire on the scatter shot or the air sweeper, and that is definitely not what we want. We want him to go all the way to the monolith in the center of the base, which is absolutely what we get right there. Earthquakes coming down, we get huge value from that from the fireball earthquake combination, and now that entire core section of the base is gone. It's dealt with. We don't need to worry about it anymore, and we can get going with the next stage of our attack. So the majority of the rest of our troops are going to be deployed down here. Don't forget, you have the Warden Apprentice coming in, just giving that kind of life aura that the Grand Warden used to provide, but now we're just bringing a troop for that. We of course have those Coqueluons coming overhead as well, trying to protect those healers that of course did come in with our Grand Warden at the start of this attack. Ideally, you're looking for them to switch from the Grand Warden over to those Meteor Golems, helping to keep them alive as you progress through. The good thing about this strategy is the Meteor Golems are targeting any building. They're not targeting defenses or anything specific like that. so they will easily take down the Townhall for you. It's really easy, and honestly this strategy is one I would definitely recommend. I've seen quite a lot of spam based strategies floating around in Legends League at the moment, or certainly that's what I've seen from some YouTubers, but honestly spam is just not that strong at the moment. Strategies like this are definitely in the meta. I've seen a lot of super bowlers being used as well, so definitely probably going to make a video on that soon. Keep an eye out for that. But as we progress through this attack, you'll see we actually have the clan castle troops coming out pretty late on in this one. But that's why we bring the poison spell, we drop it down, and it's not really a problem too much. Unfortunately, there was a little bit delay on that furnace coming out. Dealing with furnaces can sometimes be a bit of a bother because it's getting that continuous splash damage onto your troops unless you get the poison down. But we've just got so many troops left up here in the back end with a rage and a freeze, the king's ability in there as well to support, that it is absolute overkill, and we don't need to worry about that 3-star. It's in the bag, and we have another 40 trophies on our record. But thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this and you've learned a brand new strategy. As always, don't forget to go ahead and like the video, leave a comment down below if you have given or are going to give this strategy a go, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.